Hi there. Let's just wait a few minutes. And this is Wei. Nice to meet you. Hi, Abelard. Welcome to join me here. Let me just present window. Can you see the screen? Hi, Brian. Welcome, everybody. Can anyone see my screen? I just share my screen and great. Then and let me just introduce today's agenda first. Then I believe you can just open up the mic and have a chat. So today the biggest news I want to share with you is that KubeVela 1.2 got released. So this is the formal release, and as the previous release candidates reviews, we have UI console supported. You can see from the meeting notes, we have already written all the how to document. And you can click into that and to try it out from in this section of.
Hello, are you seeing something?
Yes. Sorry, you couldn't hear me, right?
I can hear you and I can see the screen.
How about Abelard? Can you see my screen or hear me? Okay, I think he will be joining us. So for UI dashboard, you can follow the manage application section and go through the whole process of creating and binding your application to environment, deploy, check the application state, modify replicas, and also, of course, view application logs. If it gets success or stuck in some issues, also expose your application for a public access, resource list, and recycle, and eventually delete the application. So this is about the manage application part. You have any questions on this part? Okay, let me just go on. And welcome, Kevin. I just saw Kevin join us. And yes, nice to have you. And by the way, this is Wei talking, and I'm Wei Duan. I believe we met in the previous meetings, but haven't been introduced to each other formally. I'm also a member of a KubeVela team. And from the beginning, I've just introduced the new feature of KubeVela 1.2.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. And let me go back to the meeting note. You can see UI console supported, and you can check the GUI by using this how-to document. Click the link in the meeting note. And then the second is we have this add-on system, which you'll be having the abilities to manage like multi-clusters, wire another CNCF Foundation project named as OCM, Open Cluster Management. And also you can enable your rollout by combining using with a Istio add-on. Those were the capabilities from the ecosystem, and can use this add-on system to build and contribute. I can click the link and see how to do that. You can see in add-ons, add-on system is the whole system that you can enable, like FlexCD is still many capabilities from the ecosystem. And this is a doc for make and contribute of your own. And let me try to help you understand how to use add-on. So I can go back to one of the docs. Let's see, cloud service. This is a popular one, right? Like let's see if you are using a AWS or Azure, right? So in KubeVela, you can enable these add-ons in the dashboard. Then I can scroll. When you enter the KubeVela dashboard, you can see in the left bottom, there's add-ons. You can click it. You will find in the list that we have Terraform AWS, Terraform Azure. Those are add-on from Terraform you can enable on, then you can integrate it with AWS, also Azure, as you wish. And these are the, right now, the current resources we have been supported. Mostly are from Alibaba Cloud, and Azure's we've already got MariaDB and storage account, and S3 from AWS. And this resource will keep going from the community. maintainer team or from the members that's contributing to the community. Then you can see it's quite simple to use it. At first, you enable the add-ons, Azure or AWS as you wish. Then you will create one application and choose the application type as it is in the UI dashboard, and configure some of the parameters attaching to these cloud resource. Then eventually deploy it into the console and see the status of the application. And the example I'm showing here is I think it's RDS, Alibaba RDS resource. So from this example, you can see add-on system is let's go back to the meeting note. Add-on system is you can imagine it's a capability platform that you can integrating any capabilities you won't have from the open source ecosystem, and you can contribute and make your own add-ons. This is pretty open up. And then the third, any questions on this part before I go on?
No, I'll have to read more to have questions.
Yeah, thank you. Then the third big major features here is regarding on Icd integration. So this is a cool one. I can click it on. So in this part, in KubeVela 1.2, Vela UX provides a good way to integrate the whole KubeVela platform with the frequently used CI systems like, let's see, Jenkins and like GitLab CI or GitHub CI, any CI you're using right now, and by using these triggers for applications. And by using these triggers for applications, you will have a webhook URL that you can submit that into the settings in GitLab CI/CD settings, or even a Harbor Hub trigger. You can follow this doc to see how it works. And then, yes, try it out.
I'm missing the use case there. So what?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out what the use case here is. So, Jenkins is going to call the webhook to do what?
I believe Jenkins is not showing here. Let's see this.
Well, so I mean, any CI/CD system is going to call a webhook, right? That's the integration point.
Yes.
But what are they doing? What are they accomplishing by calling that?
When they are calling a webhook URL, they will send an API to the API server in Vela core. Then Vela core will pass that call in to the control plane, which is connected to the Vela UX, the dashboard. Then you will get a, let's see here, you can see this is for set webhook trigger for Jenkins. When you're calling it, when the webhook set it in Jenkins got called, you will pass the call to the API server in control plane in KubeVela. Then this trigger in KubeVela Vela UX will be responded.
All right. So you're always kicking off a workflow. Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
okay. Okay. I understand now. Thank you.
Yes. When I kick it workflows, the revision will be automatically generate one more. Yeah.
Okay.
Glad you understand it. So pretty much these three are the three major features we released out at a version of 1.2 of KubeVela. And I believe we are shipping out more like practical user cases and articles to explain how to use it, and more scenarios on CI/CDs. And I believe these kind of articles will be published out after Chinese New Year, like 1 month later. We are planning to shipping out many tutorials out there to help you understand. So right now, please check the official docs, KubeVela.io. Of course, in tutorial part, you can see tutorial part. It already help to teach you the 4 major formats of like container image, the frequently used Helm charts, also cloud services, also Kubernetes objects, raw objects, this kind of 4 tutorials, and working with Jenkins and CDs, and even GitOps. So this is the tutorials we have, and follow the how-to guides to, if you get puzzled or stuck in just one step, you can just check each one of these, check one of these how-to guides to see how to solve it. Yes, so this pretty much I can share for this time. Any questions?
Not for me.
Great, thanks, Kevin. How about Abelard, Brian, and Devian?
No, I'm good for now.
Thanks.
All right, that was quick.
Yeah. And do you have any suggestions to the community? I think every 2 weeks we have a great time to join here. I feel really grateful you keep attending our meeting. And do you have any feedbacks or suggestions to help this community to be better?
Before that, can I just ask a question about the add-on? If I build something, is it validated when I submit it?
When you add, yes, I think when you add the add-ons, you should. I think you should follow it as a. Let's see.
I'm just wondering if it's automatically validated or if it's just kind of submitted initially and.
You will have some formats, like quality formats to follow. You can see, check the docs. It'll have a directory structure must follow, like metadata, template, resources, and also the resource will go with the parameter.q. This is the major JSON schema that should be using. Then if you follow all these, obey all these directory structures, it will be good.
Okay.
Yeah. I hear another fellow had a question. Projects aside, questions from projects, if any more, please raise up, or any suggestions you feel about this community meeting, or suggestions, anything. Before thinking of, I think we're gonna share something like recent status happening at the community. So after release of 1.2, we believe it's setting up these end-to-end experiences at most of the scenarios that developer needs from KubeVela. And we are planning to do a major shipping out of the tutorials, the docs or practice cases in channels abroad. I think maybe creating a account Reddit, also Stack Overflow, like Rose forums and websites to develop forums to broadcasting informations about KubeVela 1.2. We are hoping that some more developers who leads the projects will be knowing it and get to try it out. So this is a major next step for the community, and will be happening like within a month, I think.
So from the spec perspective, is where, I mean, we're at 031, right? Or that 031 is the draft. I'm just trying to get back in touch with what's happening on the spec front. I mean, KubeVela is,
yes,
great for you guys, but
yes, let's updated the recent situations on spec. I think last time I can roll it back to the last time discussion, like maybe 1 or 2. Yes, I think 2 meetings before we had a discussion regarding on OAM spec and KubeVela, and you can see one of the maintainers, Daniel, he proposed a feedback here. You can track this issue that I think that there is a discussion, and how to address it all is that I think we came to a consensus that we are still maintaining OAM spec in sync with KubeVela in the future. The original proposal in the issue is that maybe we are doing it in 2 different directions, or maybe OAM spec are kind of, go individually. But I think this is not
right. This actually seems backwards.
Yes.
You would think that the OAM spec should be, I mean, especially if you have a released version of, what you consider a release version of KubeVela, it should be based on a released version of the OAM spec and not trying to make the spec catch up. I mean, ultimately, if OAM is the standard you're working from, then that should be out released and publicly acceptable before you then say KubeVela is an implement, because it should be an implementation of the OAM spec standard, not the OAM spec is built based on a product. I mean, it is backwards. And I think that needs to change.
Yes, I agree. That's why I think this issue got closed. And we have some discussions there. You can see the conclusion. I think the conclusion is just like as you said, that OAM model is OAM model, and KubeVela is that projects we are drawing feedbacks from the real world developers, and to figure out what's the new changes that should be merged into OAM spec. So I think we will keep it this way. And how about Kevin? Do I explain this clearly to address your concern?
I don't know what my concern is. I mean, I understand Brian's concern. I'm not sure that, which come first really matters, but I think one of the disjoints for me, Oracle, is that, we never intend to use KubeVela. Right. What we're here for is the spec.
Understand.
Right.
And
So,
Right, and I'm kind of the same way where, I don't care whether it's KubeVela or what NapDiv's doing or what Oracle's doing. I'm trying to model using the extension pieces of OAM, a standard for my group to use. And, it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to release anything because, I'm trying to, see whether I need to, and it almost is to the point where, maybe we just kind of do our own thing, but it seems this is so close.
I feel sorry for that, but I think it's not happen like you imagine, because right now you can see if you check the issue, it's not saying we are doing only for KubeVela and like OAM spec is like a adherent was supporting that to KubeVela. It isn't. I think we're still keeping it separately and make it independently. So I think this is still studio needs. And I think what that need is that you can just maybe raise your issue to the direction of what we should be going with a KubeVela spec. I think the maintainers will have a discuss on that and try to figure out how to
Right, but I guess I don't want to raise it to KubeVela. I want it to be done in OAM. I don't care whether KubeVela implements it or not. The changes that I may be asking or requesting are specifically to the OAM spec, whether they're, and I think that this is where it shouldn't be that the implementers of KubeVela get to choose what goes in the spec, that's more of a community decision. And that, if say the community makes a decision that's non-breaking and makes a change to the spec, whether KubeVela implements that or not, that's an implementation decision, not a spec decision. And I think going back and kind of updating the spec to meet the needs of an implementation it's just kind of backwards.
I understand.
Because you're right, we will update the spec to include the latest changes. No, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be updating the spec to make sure everybody's okay with the updates to the spec and then implementing them in KubeVela. At least that's my, the last statement there makes this, it's not an open standard community developed item. This is a thing that's being kind of forced on the community because of an implementation by one of the groups in the community.
I understand your concern, and I think that the discussions we had for last time is also happening like what you are describing there. And that's why
right, I think that's why you're losing people showing up at the meetings, because it's kind of become one-sided.
I understand. I think we didn't like want to control the community because we closed this issue and members, maintainers out there discussion there, and we sorted out. I think I had a discussion with Daniel. Like we are saying, it's of course a community thing. I think back then it's a proposal, right? It's a proposal in the issue. So we didn't make any decisions, concrete decisions based on that. Instead, we closed that. So this is what happened now for community. So it's still a totally community thing for OAM spec. I don't know if I explained this clearly.
Yeah, but Brian, I think I understand your perspective.
Yeah.
You're certainly the most active, org in the community, right? So
Right,
I
yeah.
understand that you're trying to move and drive and make progress and drive fast. So the world might be different if you got, if I were showing up every week and having, strong opinions about what should be in the spec, things might be different. But so, I can't blame you for what's happening.
Right, but I think that what's really missing maybe is some kind of governance around changes to the spec that, would require, say, some kind of, hey, there are, at least say 8 groups that you see at least somewhat regularly, that there's a representative from the 8 groups that really, again, what changes aren't like we want to make this change. And so, and again, this is just maintainers. Now, what about people who are, have a, I don't have a, I'm not developing per se. I may start to contribute, things, but the problem is by the time I get something up and ready to contribute, the spec changed and now I got to fix it. Really becomes a little bit of an issue. But I think this gets down to, okay, what we want to do is, hey, we're going to make these changes. I send this out, majority vote on things, and that's how it's, updated and maintained, versus just, hey, we had a call, and all of a sudden, this is the change, or hey, we've been developing and we needed this edit, so we just put it in. And that's kind of what seems to be happening.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and that's why from the past issue raised this concern, and I think the community stopped doing the situation you just described. We are not doing moving back the implementation on KubeVela, moving it back to spec directly. We haven't, we didn't do that, really. I think OAM spec right now is still a standalone project, which requires community governance. And the point you are making here is quite clear and very right. I agree with you that we should be updating the governance of OAM spec to make it more like have a hierarchical governance models. Like we have more roles apart from maintainers, we have like contributors or approvers, right? So this makes spaces, rooms for people to get involved in OAM spec. Right? I think this can be updated.
Right, because as the community, if you want to really grow it, you need people to start, using it. And there's going to be more people than just those, now I have use cases, and, the only way to kind of get those in front of a maintainer is to bring them here. I don't ever intend to build an OAM platform. I just want to use one.
Got it. That's why I'm very appreciative that you are joining us and to have your, share your feelings and suggestions to the community. That's very welcome.
Right. And I guess I just don't want to be forced into, because again, if I'm forced into KubeVela, then, you know, yeah, that might be okay for what, you know, a particular project, but that's not what I'm really trying to establish. You know, I'm trying to establish another community of users, you know, on top of this.
Yes. Understand. I think we're not doing it, of course. Let me just say it again. We are not doing to force the changes and KubeVela back into the OAM spec. We're not doing it. So I think the question raised here and how we gonna to evolve OAM spec. I think this should be discussed and get updated.
Okay, so to get down to details here, right? So it sounds like KubeVela is, you know, 0.3.1 compatible, right? And it's going to, you know, it'll continue to evolve and change, but you know, the problem is going to be is that when the community starts to work on 0.4, I don't know if that's actually happening now. You know, we may choose to make it incompatible with what KubeVela has become, right? And then KubeVela will have to adjust to be 1.04 compatible at that time, right?
Right, unless of course we always enforce the fact that any changes have to be non-breaking.
Right. So yeah. So you know, I agree with the, you know, around governance around changes to 0.4, and it sounds like you know, Alibaba and KubeVela is they're trying to be less forceful in pushing their changes into the spec, and it sounds like they're very willing to go through, you know, a community approval process once that's set up. So I mean, I don't think any of that's wrong. That all sounds right to me, right? I think how do we get this meeting to become you know, working meeting around working on the spec, which is why, you know, Brian, you and I are here, as opposed to a KubeVela status report.
Correct. Yes, and I think that that's really what I would love this to really become. It should really be only about the spec.
Right.
Like that's what this and I think that that's what started to happen as this became, unfortunately, a demo session for KubeVela, and then it's like, well, you know, how do I get all this other?
Right, and you know, I take, you know, partial responsibility. For that to work, people like me need to show up with opinions and suggestions, and I've not done that well. So,
right, but and that I think there also needs to be a, hey, we're gonna draw a line in the sand. We're gonna, and maybe that is just something that we need to do as a group and say, okay, listen, here's what we would like to be able to do. You know, Alibaba is willing to not force these in. This is now going to be, you know, completely community driven, that we will, you know, start reviewing the tickets that are inside of the in here, reviewing the spec, working toward a version 4. I think that some kind of note like that going out to the group may bring some of them back, because it did seem like, you know, this group keeps getting smaller and smaller, it seems like.
I think I agree to review, like you understand it very correctly. Alibaba is not a company that force anything, because in open source, I think we are obey and respect the community governance. And apart from that, actually, I'm also a long-term practitioner in open source project. Before joining Alibaba, I was maintaining like TensorFlow community at Google dev relation. I think I understand the core values of community. That's why I think at a team, when when some of them doing it wrong, I was able to step out to point to, so this has to be stopped. And that's why you can see here that it may cause some turbulence or something not right to see, but I think it was corrected. And I think in future, let's follow what you folks are bringing up for OAM spec, and let's discussion what's the best for OAM spec.
Yeah, all we can do is try. I mean, I think, you know, I don't know, is the governance, you know, I was a big Apache open source guy for a long time. And there the governance is barely explicitly documented what the rules are, you know. I don't know if, you know, I don't want to be too pedantic about the whole thing, but I also don't know what the rules are. You know, do we have a governance model documented?
I think right now the governance doc is quite simple. It's too simple and to that, so that we could barely name it a governance model. We only got 3 project manager maintainers here. Okay. And
yeah, that's part of the problem, right? That's
yes, and I myself wasn't in them.
Yeah, so you know, if like Brian and I aren't doing enough to you know be voted in as a maintainer, you know, using a sort of Apache sort of lingo, then we don't have a say, and that's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I'm sure that that's not, it sounds like that's not the overall idea here. I think it's maybe this wasn't maintained, or
Right.
there really wasn't a way to create, you know, what is considered, like there really are no guidelines on what's considered, you know, active, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So, and maybe that all needs to be just put down.
Yeah, I don't know if CNCF has models like that. Apache is very sort of regimented on those things, right? You know, how members get invited to be committers and all that kind of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's pretty heavy-handed as well. So it's, but so yeah, so just to ask the question, how does one get on this list?
I think
Right,
we should just. I think of course, I think this governance model should be updated, because right now I didn't figure out how it's working in the past and how it gets selected. I think let's just from updating the governance model and get people who want to evolve in, who want to give a to empower these projects like Kevin and Brian, like you folks, to get involved in a legislative way, right? So I think I will get back to the team and call the community to say how to update this governance model and to enable you to have your opinion on how you will be evolving for this OAM spec.
I think that's a good first step.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, I think you'd get more participation if people felt like they had more of a voice.
Mm-hmm. I think Evelard, I don't know if Evelard can hear us. He's trying to connecting and reconnecting all the time.
Yeah, I finally figured out it's my Linux machine that has problem. So I can finally hear you now, but I missed totally the whole meeting.
Sorry to hear that. Do you have any suggestion on this, Evelard? I think we just had this discussed. And I'm very,
Sorry, I
Mhm.
don't know what you guys discussing. Like, I literally just like able to hear you guys in the last like 1 minute or so.
Mhm. We want to reestablish the whole governance model for OAM spec first, because right now it's kind of in loose, and Brian, Kevin, they want to get involved of involving of OAM spec, but right now it kind of like frozen in here. So I think the first step is that we are going to refreshing the whole governance model to allow people to get in.
I see. Yeah, I don't have my opinion on this this subject. Yeah, I guess like you guys are more active like than I do.
Mhm. Right. I think I have a request for Ryan or Kevin. Can you just please like reason the issue to like give a suggestion on how it should be updated for governance? And on my side, I will also request the community to do this change, and let's see how let's choose which is the best governance model for this project, and let's get back to and get started.
So are you going to open a issue and you want us to respond in that, or do you want us to open up separate issues and then you'll merge them together?
I think would you just please open up the issue, and then I will follow on that issue. Ask
Okay.
the team to follow me. Yes.
So that means either you or me, Brian.
I'll open an issue.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will put my 2 cents in.
All right.
Great. Okay, so do we have any more to discuss for today?
Nope.
Thanks again to join us, Brian, Abelard, Vivian, and Kevin. I think we will just get to go back to the issue and to try to sort it out for OAM spec, and then let's see, we will see each other at the next Tuesday night. See you again.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.